Hello. I'm sitting on a rock in a little wooded area with a creek. So if you hear water in the background, that is what is surrounding me. So I just did a little clearing meditation, and I've been feeling like there has been multiple messages wanting to come through. Some of them have been passed on like individually, just from people contacting me. But I still have been feeling this restlessness to, sort of put it into a more collective message in case. So only if you feel called to listen to this. It may just be for one part and you can like divinate, meaning just click in a random, it's not really random, but spot, and that maybe the message will be there for you. Maybe it's the whole thing. Sometimes I like to just, I'll see a number in my head and click the timestamp in that way. So there's really no wrong or right way to do this. It's just whatever is calling you in terms of, if anything. So when I closed my eyes, I was really feeling this beautiful, so this happens almost all the time, but it was really enhanced, like almost as if you're looking into a lava lamp with ultraviolet light and what I have been calling the crystalline liquid light. So you can think of this as like a crystalline liquid light transmission with all of the words that I'm speaking. Crystalline light encoded. And if you don't know what that exactly means, well, it can apply differently, and it's really to each person how you receive it. Like the words are layered with encoding, even if it doesn't on the surface look that way. You can close your eyes listening to this, keep them open, however you feel called. And so with that, I'm just going to take a second and take a breath. I invite you to do the same if you'd like. And with the breath in through your nose, and just hold it. And then like an audible exhale. That always helps recenter me. Or even if I am centered, it just helps to create more space. I just felt like some people might be a little bit lightheaded, so if that happens, it's okay. Just, maybe take a couple more slow breaths to acclimate. And when I was in a lying down position the other day, I wouldn't quite call it meditating. I was just really laying in stillness and silence. I guess that's a form of meditation. And quite often I set intentions or, have some sort of the word is escaping me, but I just felt a tingle in my third eye. So like exploration or something. But in this case, I was actually really tired. I went out the night before and I hadn't been out in a while. And I just was lying down in stillness and quiet with no particular expectation or agenda. Not that I try to have expectations and agendas on a daily basis. I just mean this was like very, I was very open. And I heard a voice in my mind Sometimes I do, we'll just hear a thought as if it's my thought, but it feels more expansive. Not to say that our own thoughts cannot be expansive, but it takes a lot of time for those who are maybe going through this in terms of, whether this is brand new or you've been doing this for 20 years or anywhere in between or higher than that. Not higher as in better, just higher as in, already being expanded multidimensionally. I still feel like sometimes it feels new in a way, it can feel exciting and getting our bearings in terms of discernment. And this has been coming up a lot about discernment and sharing and when to share and who to share with and how to share. And again, not everyone may be going through this, but it's come up a lot, especially today. And now I'm hearing the word, samskara, which I was walking the other day. There's a theme I'm noticing. Same thing, was just walking around. I was staying at my friend's place, and I love strolling around the neighborhood at night because there's cobblestone streets and it's by the water. And so I was just doing that, taking a little stroll, and I heard in my head clear say samskara. So I knew I had looked that up before a long time ago, maybe years ago. So I reacquainted myself with the word, and it was talking about the 16 rites of passages in the yogic teachings, and I believe samskara is a Sanskrit word, if I'm not mistaken, and it's an Indian philosophy. So I'm not going to go into the full depth of it. You can feel free to do some research if you feel called to. But the samskara, that philosophy that I was feeling connected to, the 16 rites of passage and how that works through in spiritual evolution and consciousness expansion. And so I will probably go deeper with that another time, but that just kind of wanted to come up as an overarching theme. A lot of the transmissions I've been wanting to come up lately have been more of overarching themes, and I feel at some point I will probably start to hone in on more specifics. But for now, I have been diving into the stuff for quite a few years, and it feels at least for me personally, what is coming through seems to be a lot of more broad phrases, topics, thoughts, philosophies, and then, I'm sure at some point I will weave it all together and fine-tune more specifically. There are some writings that I've been doing on my website that will focus on more specific things, but I'm just going to kind of let it flow and see where it goes and not try to overanalyze it or pick it apart. So that could be a message in itself if, especially right now, I was hearing some people talk about the Plutonian transit that we've been experiencing into Aquarius, where at this point there's a rising of a lot of I guess you can say thought patterns and behaviors that have been maybe a little bit overwhelming in the past that are kind of coming up again as oh, hello, remember me? And it's up to us how we, of course, approach that. And so, I've noticed that a few nights where I was my mind was racing and it was hard for me to get in my body and relax. So, going back to, for me, Kundalini yoga is very helpful in different forms of that, or something I just like to call flow chi, where I just turn on some sort of frequency music or Kundalini tantric music, or music that just makes me excited, stuff I grew up with, whatever I'm feeling in the moment, and just let my body move however it wants to. And so, that feels like a collective energy as well in terms of specifically overanalyzing and overthinking. And I know tomorrow there's a full moon in Virgo, which I believe is 2/24/24. So, you can go into the numerology, and Virgo in astrology rules the 6th house and can be all about routines and taking things step by step in terms of, curating a present moment for yourself of routine instead of maybe a more rigid approach. And when that overthinking comes, like zooming out to the big picture and then just focusing in that moment on how you can take a step to create that. So that's kind of what I've been working with as well. That is what I've been working with as well. And so back to yesterday when I was lying there and I heard, it was a feminine type of voice, and it almost sounded like my friend can do this thing where she holds her breath. I don't know if anyone's ever done this or tried it or knows someone who can do it, where you like go underwater and hold your breath. You don't really have to be underwater. You can also do it above water, and you like speak from your throat, kind of like a ventriloquist, but like your breath is held. And my friend can do this, and it's the most hilarious sound. But it sounded like that, the voice in my mind. And when I say in my mind, clear audience, clear hearing, when you hear tones, frequencies, words, sound. Doesn't have to be anything in specific, but you're hearing something that is coming in from like a subtle layer and not necessarily, on this 3D plane of existence. So you may hear it and someone else next to you will have no idea what you're talking about. Excuse me. That was a little baby release. When I burp, that means I'm releasing energy somehow. So if you hear me burp, that's just a part of it. Some people think it's completely disgusting, and yeah, that's okay. I get it. But that's just the way my body releases. And a lot of other people who do things similar to this have had similar releases of burping. I know some people who yawn. There's others that I have seen that cough. Sometimes I will cough too. So yeah, anyway, if you're going through that as well, that could be maybe something that will be piecing together for you if you notice in certain situations where something feels kind of heavy and then all of a sudden you have some sort of release like that, or a sneeze. Sometimes I sneeze too. So just really tuning into your physical body and noticing like repeating patterns in terms of what your body is showing you and communicating can be really helpful. And if you're already doing that, I do feel like there's including for myself, like a deepening of, I guess we can call it like quantum communication, when like in quantum physics with entanglement theory. I know that's getting pretty popular now, so I'm sure it wouldn't be hard to do a quick little dive into really any of the topics that I speak of. You can always reach out to me, and I'd be more than happy to go deeper, or I invite people to do their own research. And if they already know of the topic, then just feel free to listen and see if anything unfolds deeper from that topic that you already are familiar with. So, or maybe even are working with yourself. And so in quantum entanglement, when we talk about two whatever points in space-time, or everything is atoms, right? Everything is made of atoms. So when there's a connection point, and then let's say it gets separated, it's technically never separated. It can communicate regardless of how far apart it is. And so now I'm being taken to an Andromeda galaxy. Like the Milky Way galaxy was a part of Andromeda galaxy at one point, and it's separated, and now there will be apparently a reconnection in like millions of years, at least in Earth linear years. So I feel like there's always that quantum entanglement with Andromeda galaxy, which if you're looking at that on a planetary universal perspective, and then back to the physical vessel and how it can be applied in like a daily tangible understanding, like your brain has 2 hemispheres. So if you are, I like to imagine like a figure 8 coming and uniting the 2 hemispheres of the brain, working in sync, like a dolphin, like they use their, I believe they're like the only beings on the planet, apparently, that utilize the full capacity and sync their brain. So using like hemi-syncing or frequency music, binaural beats, solfeggio scale, flowing water, whatever it is that helps to reunite that aspect of yourself. And the different body systems will communicate more in sync and in unison and harmony with the application of the understanding that quantum entanglement exists. So that's how I like to look at it. I was just writing something on ORMUS GOLD the other day, and working with ORMUS GOLD, monatomic state gold, and that one of the things I loved about it is the quantum communication that I felt really like brought back online for me. It was already happening, so of course I don't believe that any substance. I'm also hearing shilajit. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but that's a Himalayan resin that I've also worked with that assisted, and I was dreaming about that last night, so that could be relevant too. And the ORMUS GOLD communication connection that I was feeling, of course, like I was saying, a tool. It's not like a magic, I take it once and I'm flying out of the universe. It's not really like, at least not my experience. I mean, hey, if that's your experience, cool. But like, yeah, it's about utilizing these, if you want to say, gifts and from the earth and from the natural occurring minerals to assist in our already deepening of connection. So I was already, working with neural patterning, rewiring, and karmic clearing, and cellular upgrading, and molecular structure, crystallization, and all these things. So I just feel like the ORMUS GOLD was a really nice way to assist in kind of like reuniting all of those different parts into a more seamless communication. And so, I will at some point release more about ORMUS GOLD. I work with it and make tinctures with it, and it's just been so fun to work with. And of course, like anything, I never want to like over exploit a natural resource, so I've been hesitant to like talk too much about it, but I realize, as long as we utilize things responsibly and share about that part, because such a tiny bit goes a long way, which is really cool. Okay, so back to the voice. So I heard it come in, and I heard the word 0, crystalline, Stargate, and Taurus. And I heard it like, it was like boom, boom, boom. And so I am still unfolding the message of why that came through in that way. Of course, it can be an astrological placement. I do not have Taurus in my chart at all, actually. So it could be a transit in astrology, and also the crystalline Stargate in itself. I read that there's allegedly a 13th Stargate coming back online, which has been coming through as well. And I was just writing this down the other day, so of course that feels connected. There was a 12th Stargate location in Lyra, and apparently there's like an opening into the 13th, which always takes me to the 13th sign in astrology, Ophiuchus, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, and how we are bringing back online this 13, and the feminine Christ of Sophia, and the pearlescent frequency coming into color. So with this, the 0, and I kept seeing like a typewriter, those old school typewriters when you would like type and then move like the bar over and like clear, and then there was like a fresh new page. That's what I was seeing for the 0. Of course, the Fool and Tarot, and the 0 of all those who have been doing the karma clearing and ancestral karma, cellular DNA repair, and waking up those crystalline codes and integrating, activating, etc., remembering, zooming in, zooming out, embodying these new patterns. And of course, like, there's no perfection with this. It is a process, and that's why the deepening of that feminine energy is so important, of like the compassion and the feminine Sophia Christ, and, you know, like Kuan Yin, and really being patient with ourselves and not rushing. So all of this connecting through, now I'm seeing an infinity loop again, you know, giving, receiving, maybe sometimes needing to lean heavier on one side or the other to get back a nice flow of balancing, like the magnetism, the feminine, and the electromagnetic, the masculine, electric, you know, positive and negative charges, and really like balancing that out to create this new consciousness. So when we are in a more balanced state energetically, of course, with that births a new experience and a new way of, you know, operating. Like, people keep talking about the new paradigm shift and this new consciousness. So, you know, it's in the making, we're doing it, and these crystalline frequencies that are shown, I will go into that at some point, what my perspective has been about what that means. And the, like, now I'm hearing in my head the Kelon codes, the crystalline Kelon codes, and I see them, I've been seeing them when I scry in the mirror for years now, and I'm still kind of working out how this all can be put into English words. But color, my right ear just blocked. Like, when I said that, like, my whole right ear just feels like it, like when you go on a plane and your ear's popping, but like right before it pops. And now I just felt like a buzzing sensation in my right ear. And I just realized I'm looking around in the woods, and the sun is setting, and that's one of my favorite times to be outside, around sunset. It always has been. And they say that's when, like, the veil is thinner. You know, all these beautiful, God, I couldn't have timed this if I tried. I wasn't even thinking about this. I just felt the urge to come to the woods and do this. I was going to talk about the, let's say the crystalline stargate. And I typed that in on Google earlier just to see what comes up. And someone had a picture that was like a pastel rainbow reflection from the sun, when you can see those like cool different refractions of light from the sun. And people have been catching it more and more on video. And you know, when we see a rainbow, it's like the pastel of the rainbow. So the heliotalic spectrum, which is a scientific or fancy way of saying pastel. So right now the sky is so pastel right now. It's like this beautiful, like golden, it's a golden hour. So it's like golden orange, and that the like light pink, and the blue is just like so pale. And it was a little foggy today. And all of a sudden, like, this color is bursting through. And that's kind of like what this crystalline stargate feels like when, you know, it's like Pleasantville when you're viewing the world in black and white. All kids like running down the hill. And then, you know, you see that color. Well, it's like, not only then do we see like the primary colors, and then when we continue expanding, and then the heliotalic spectrum comes in, the pastel, the iridescent, I like to think of it as like, my left thumb, which is for me the fire element on the feminine side, just lit up. So if you're into palmistry, you can check the left thumb, right on the, where you would like put your print. What's that called? Sometimes when I'm doing these transmissions, English words leave. You know, when you right on the tip, where a fingerprint would be. So yeah, the sky is just getting more and more golden and pink, and I want to take a picture, so I'm gonna pause. Hold on one second. Yeah, so if you hear some screaming, they're just some kids playing in the woods. Okay, so the color is like literally expanding in front of my eyes. It's so cool to watch. And yeah, I think I was saying where I left off about the rainbow, and how like these iridescent like heliotalic pastel frequencies come in, and it's like the high self, or like the ethereal template grounding into the earth plane. Now, when I say words or things and let it flow, these are just my feelings and experiences. I'm not saying that is a hardcore solid fact. It's more just an expression and a way to share what I feel and what I see and what I perceive and what comes through, my own vessel, channel, auric field, morphogenetic field connection, translation, etc. So, with that, I then was talking about something today that reminded me of how these different like liquid crystalline plasma codes that will come through different light sources. It could be, for me, like I'm saying right now, just from the sky, and it's reflecting off of the water, and I can see it coming off of the water. Of course, the sun is one of the best ways. Stars, the moon, lights, even seemingly like artificial lights. I'll see, like these beautiful streams, like rays of light. Sometimes, like, it's actually kind of crazy. Like, I've started driving again recently. I took a break from driving because I was traveling. And I will see these lights all around. And I'm like, whoa, like, to concentrate on the road. Like, everything, like, streams out. Like, it's looking at, like, all these streams of light, like, sun rays will just start appearing. And when I'm concentrating even more, I can see within each individual stream of light that will be different expressions. And like I said, it's been overcast here the past couple days. I live in Philadelphia right now, and I sounded so proper. I live in Philly, for those of you who are from Philadelphia. Like Philadelphia. The overcast was like light rain here and there, but the sun hadn't come out for a few days. So I was in a store, and I was just guided to go in the bathroom. So I did. And I was sitting down, and there was a light on, and one of the streams of light that just kind of peered down, and it was showing, and I see this often, but there was something about this specific, each one has, I suppose, its own individual transmission, and it was so strong. And because even though the sun had not been out, because I usually sun gaze every day, I was scrying in this ray of light, and it was like all of that, those sun codes, all of those light codes, the crystalline liquid light plasma was like showing itself in this ray of light. And it was, again, these beautiful, like pastel heliotalic, like rainbow streams that were just like, almost like water, like flowing. And there were these tiny little, it's hard to explain, kind of like plasma bubbles. Like it looked like a bubble, but they were so tiny, and I could see them, like they had depth to them, but they were, clear doesn't even feel like the correct word, but clear. But they were really tiny and just flowing through this heliotalic plasma rainbow stream. And so anyone who is, just kind of experiencing deepening of color, just noticing, it doesn't even have to be like you're seeing anything that isn't there, although it very well could be. And I just, wanted to show up and maybe help validate, because I know sometimes, even though it's been happening for years, I still will find myself being like, what's happening? Everyone, it's becoming less and less, honestly. I don't do that as much, but it's still nice to, just talk about it, because for a long time I felt like I couldn't talk about it, and now I just want to create that space for anyone else who is having these experiences. And whether you're super comfortable talking about it, or you're comfortable with a certain select few people, or you have your own community that you're co-creating, it really doesn't matter. I think the more that we can just kind of ripple that out and share those key codes with each other, I think it really helps like weave in that bigger tapestry, you know? So anyway, these colors, yeah, like you might start seeing more like iridescent colors over things that before just looked like regular green. You know, like you look at a tree and you're like, oh, it's green. And now it might be like, whoa, it's not just green, but I'm seeing like its aura, or I'm seeing, you know, gold light like flowing around somewhere where someone else is not seeing that gold light, you know? So there could be these examples. It really could be anything. But I do feel like there's a surge in this right now, in this, I have chills in my legs, in this color amplification and these higher frequency codes like streaming in, and those who, you know, what's that expression, those with eyes to see and ears to hear something, you know, I think there's like a really strong pull to this right now. I mean, maybe I should say I think there's a pull to go deeper with it. And, you know, I could sit and talk about examples all day because this is like one of my favorite things to talk about. Although I've caught myself, I say that a lot. I'd like to talk about a lot of these things, but yeah, the colors and the deepening of colors and how the, again, crystalline liquid light. So the crystalline, that word comes through for me all the time. And I was, you know, really kind of fighting it for a lot of different reasons. But this idea of what that means could, again, just like a crystal, when you look at one, depending on which type, but all of them have some sort of dimension, you know. And I've used this example before where, like, I remember when I lived alone, I had a condo for a while, and my sister came to visit me, and I used to, you know, I was alone all the time, so I didn't really have to worry about like anyone being there. And I forgot I had this like white fluffy blanket. Nope, it was a rug that I used to love meditating on. It was so comfortable. But it was like thick, and I would put like these crystals like around my, like kind of like the outline of my body, like almost like when, like at a murder case or a murder scene, when like they put the outline, it's like I would do that, but with crystals, and then lay. I'm sure a lot of people do that. But my sister's like not into that stuff, and she came to my house, and she was like, yo, you got rocks on your floor. And I was like, right. So that's what, when I think of crystalline, it's like you can look at it and just see a rock, which I was like that too for a long time. I didn't have that like awareness for, I feel like I did when I was little, and then, you know, it kind of got shut down and then got reopened, which I know a lot of people go through that, which is a whole other topic. But anyway, so yeah, you know, you can look at it as just a rock or just a gem. And then you look at it and you can see that the crystal has, you know, 5 faces. And then when you look even deeper, you can see that the faces refract light. And then you can see maybe like a rainbow prism or inclusion inside of the crystal. And then you can go even deeper, and then you might start hearing messages. And then, you know, you can go even deeper and hold it up to certain different types of lighting, and it will reflect back to you different the word is escaping me, but I can feel it. Like my mom has this black light, and she has all these crystals. She was selling them for a while, but she's like, it's hard for me to sell them because I want to keep them all. And, you know, when we turned off the light, and certain crystals were like glowing in the dark, you know, so there's so many layers. And these are just a few examples. You know, some hold like key codes, and the Akasha key, I believe, which is a square, and you know, some are master healer crystals. Like there's so many different facets and expressions once you continue to expand your awareness. And that to me is like the crystalline liquid light, the plasma codes. Like it depends on where you are and what perspective, but the more multidimensional you can be, not that it's a rush to do that, but, you know, it's just expanding the perspective. So, you know, when we talk about like activating our DNA and changing it from carbon to crystal, I don't think it's really changing in anything. I think we're just expanding our perspective, which then, again, if you look at a crystal, like my sister, who's just like, oh, it's just a rock on the floor, it's going to look just like a dense ball of carbon. I don't know. But if you then add the awareness and light and the subtleties, it's this whole conscious being, you know, with many facets and encoded information. So yeah, that's kind of what I was feeling for today so far. Let me see if there's anything else, because I thought I was going to go deeper into what I heard, and I think it's going to be like an unfoldment as with anything. I think I covered the 0 and that being like the Fool, and that typewriter clearing of basically this new template that we are co-creating together, really, in brand new upgraded cellular structures and molecular structures, body systems, quantum communication on many levels. And then as we even go deeper with that into the Taurus word that I heard, you know, it can apply to so many things. And I invite, you know, if anyone's ever listens to this, to sit with yourself and see what comes through it as well, you know, or if you already have tapped into this, like maybe there's another facet to be looked at or to be realized. And sometimes it's really just about connecting dots that you've already, you know, all these puzzle pieces were given, and kind of like putting the next piece together. So for Taurus, I was really guided to go, my left nostril just started to really burn when I said that. Really go into some of the mythology, and, you know, you can Google anything with it if you feel called to. But I was really drawn to Orion, the hunter. And they say, like, the god Jupiter, I believe, like, turned himself into a bull, you know, the bull Taurus, and did something where, for some reason the story is escaping me, but the one part that I remembered that feels relevant, whatever this god Jupiter did that wasn't, I suppose, in alignment, was then turned into this bull, and like infinitely has to chase the 7 sisters, the Pleiades constellation, and something else. I forget what the other thing was. I should have this written down, but you can just Google it, and basically just chasing it and never being able to catch it. It's like just always hunting and hunting and hunting and never actually getting to receive it. So that could be a message in itself when we play in that duality, you know, like we keep chasing the dualistic, like dark light, and then now with this integration, it's like this new consciousness is being born. So that's kind of what this was kind of coming through for me. And the Taurus connection, then I kind of like wrote these words on a page, and then like would just let the layers kind of unfold themselves like an onion, and I was like writing an arrow and letting things just kind of like unfold, and then it took me to the oracles. And yesterday I was looking up Wadjet, the oracles that are connected to Egypt, and the color turquoise is connected to that as well, which kept coming up, so that might be relevant. The green and the blue together, so the heart and the throat, the mother arc and the heart is usually represented by turquoise as well, with the 3-founder flame, the mother arc, the father arc, masculine, feminine, and then the golden, you can say like the child energy. But I like now, because of the feminine and the masculine Christ, to me it always comes through, and not like religion or beings, I mean it more like a consciousness. So it's like the masculine is that golden, you know, positive charge, and then the feminine, like the pearlescent negative charge, and like the rise of the feminine or whatever. So yeah, all of that to say, coming back to Taurus, and yeah, then it was like the Oracle of Delphi was coming through, because apparently from the Wadjet Oracle in Egypt then was moved to Greece, and Apollo, I always think of Apollo and right, the sun, Apollo, and the sun codes that birth through the oracle, and the connection to Venus. And I was getting Cygnus too, like Venusian, Cygnusian. The swan is Cygnus, and of course Venus. I could go on all day about the Venusian spheres and like the higher planes. Like in some traditions, they say like the 7 higher heavens or the 7 higher planes that come through Venus. So to me, that kind of connects into these liquid plasma codes and the heliotalic spectrum, the pastels, and the pearlescence that flow through in the feminine line. So a lot of deep, especially right now, I think mother lineages. I think it's both, of course, but I think there's an emphasis on the mother right now, clearing mother codes. And that actually had a dream the other night about a white door and the connection to Kabbalah and Keter, the crown, and like healing the separation wound. And when I say mother lineages, yes, our own mothers, but also like, you know, the earth, the mother consciousness, the suppression of the feminine. So I know there's a lot of people talking about this right now. And honestly, like my own suppression is coming up. Like I feel like I shouldn't be talking about these things because there's already so many people talking about it. And it's like, why should I talk about it too? But when we tap back into that, like, Kundalini flow and expression, it's like we're doing this to unify, not to compete. And that's something I have to really keep reminding myself, if I'm being honest. Like, I was a freelancer for 10 years and it was a very competitive thing where, if I was a court reporter, one person would show up and then someone else would. And it's like, oh, well, are you going to take it? Am I going to take it? Well, who's the better one? And who's this? There was just so much competition. And I'm still, after I haven't been doing this now for like a year and a half, and I've been consciously working on this, I still have to really be honest with myself and aware and show up to catch my thoughts and catch my actions to make sure that I'm in alignment with what it is that I do want to share and why I'm sharing something. And so that could be coming up for a lot of people as well, in terms of like, you have all the best intentions in the world, but that one little, pattern that's like, oh, well, someone else already did that. Why would I do that? Never mind. And then you just completely forget about it until it pops up again. So that's kind of another message in itself. If something continues to show up and you get excited, that's what I keep reminding myself anyway, is to go for it and let it unfold instead of trying to figure it all out at once or just completely negating it. But they say, and I love this, that if something is meant for you, it will keep showing back up. So it's not from like a fear-based thing of like, oh no, if I don't do it, it's never gonna happen, or oh no, I've been doing that, I missed it. I don't really feel that way. I think it's just an opportunity or a reminder to just sharpen that awareness. I mean, I think that's the best we can do, and then take inspired action when the time feels right, I feel like I could keep going and going, but the sun around me is almost dark. That was not proper English. What did I mean to say? Yeah, the sun is almost down. I just heard a horn for confirmation. So if anyone was just like thinking of a yes or a no for some reason, like some sort of like, should I do this or should I do that? I heard yes, and the horn gave me that message. So, of course, always please use your own discernment and trust yourself. But yeah, I am just wanted to close this with a little visualization that may assist in integration, expansion, acceleration, activation, really depending where you're at, and kind of all allowing them to work together in the highest timeline expression. And we can utilize the colors that were popping up that were so rejuvenating yet simultaneously relaxing of the sunset that I saw. So it was like this golden, beautiful, like tangerine type of vibe with a pink and that really light blue. And just sitting deeper with these colors, and of course the pearlescent, iridescent frequencies and color. And I'm reminded of this dream I had once where I'll talk about the bathroom a lot. I'm like really into bathrooms for some reason, but in the dream I was on the toilet and I was looking around on the walls, and the colors just came off the walls and were like kind of like in Fantasia or the Page Master, if anyone saw this when they were kids, or when I was a kid is when they were popular, so it doesn't have to be at that time frame. But and the Page Master, yeah, like the color would like come to life from the books, and it was just like that, and it was so cool and fun, and the colors like had their own, you know, consciousness and personality, so you can kind of sit with that and let the colors, like if there's any messages or body attunements. My throat just kind of like went out if you heard that, so there might be an extra emphasis on the throat area, like just visualizing all these beautiful colors kind of swirling through the throat, on the physical, the emotional, the mental, the astral body, the star body, the aster, which is a prefix meaning star, the astral body, you know, all the way weaving up to the monadic body and in between the subtle bodies. And it's okay if you're not familiar with some of these terms. You can just feel into the colors and allow them to disperse where they need. You can take maybe a breath in here in the nose and just sigh it out. And continue to allow any key codes that would like to present in this very quick visualization. I do much longer ones that I will hopefully be sharing at some point more. And you can take a few seconds and just wiggle your fingers, your toes, slowly move your neck, and place your hands in front of your heart center if you feel called, together, almost like in a prayer position. And you can rub your hands together really, really fast, creating your own electrical impulse, your own electricity. And then you can like slowly start to pull them apart and retract back and forth. And some people right away will feel almost like static energy or see like visuals. Another horn again. However it comes to you is perfect. And then you can sort of move your hands around your body, your head, your neck, wherever you feel called, and give yourself a little auric bath, an auric clearing, an activation, whatever you feel is calling you. When you're ready, you can kind of flutter your eyes slowly open if they were closed. You're welcome to do this practice with your eyes closed as well, open as well. Or you can close one eye and keep one open. You know, they say you're like half in the subtle realms, half in the 3D when you do that. And yeah, I think that's all for today. I just want to say thank you. I like to always say, in all realms and dimensions upon which I and or we exist, say thank you and allow the ripple effect for the highest good of all. And so it is. Oh, numbers. Yeah, a lot of numbers have been coming through as well, in addition to the 0. 144 has been a really big one. And 111. 111. I had a dream about 111 the other night, and it reminded me of this experience I had. It was a 111 portal, and this was a couple years ago. I'll probably share that another time, but in the dream, I was like, almost looks like Joanne Scribes, if anyone knows about those angel numbers. I was like sitting with this woman who appeared very matronly, and she was writing these number codes and meanings. Now, of course, there are so many beautiful already existing ones out there, so of course only take this if it feels right for you. But 111, what came through was and has been coming through for a long time, is a more like instant version of thoughts appearing and showing up in your 3D world more quickly. So just being more aware, like I was talking about this whole time, awareness of your thoughts, because things are showing up quickly. And, you know, we can say the word manifesting. Everything to me is being manifested all the time. So this is about more awareness of that. And yeah, just your thoughts maybe speeding up and showing up more quickly. So you see 111, that could be very well a sign for that. And I just felt something on my pointer finger on my left hand, which is the air element, which corresponds with the mind. And now I'm hearing magnetism, so not only for the masculine perspective of, you know, action and coming in, but also like you might be receiving more quickly too in terms of your magnetism. So that's a nice side message that I actually did not get until now. But honestly, my butt is super numb from this rock, but it feels really great. And my feet, I need to go crack my body a little bit and get out of the dark woods. But yeah, thank you. And I hope you have a wonderful night or day or morning, wherever and whatever you're doing.